This right here is the Dr ThunderSun Show. Because of circumstances beyond his control, he will never show his face. But he vows to trigger your mind, stir your soul, and move your consciousness.
Thanks. Welcome to the show. Where was I? The fireman. Well, he had to eat. So guess what he did when I took off his restraint? I let his right hand go. He commenced to taking off all his restraints off his other hand, off his feet and stuff. And turned around in bed and sat up. I said, well, are you going to eat? He said, nope. I said, you said you was going to eat. He said, I lied. And he got up off the bed and he commenced to walking out the door. By the time I could even get to him, he was already out in the main hall there, and the nurse saw him, and same thing. She grabbed a syringe. I had to, restrain him. He was trying to hurt, and he ended up getting restrained and bound to the bed with this tranquilizer in him of some sort. I got a 2-week layoff, and when I came back, I was like kind of geeked up. I wanted to see how he was doing, and when I signed on and talked to the other CNA that was on duty at the time, and I asked her, I was like, what's up with that fireman guy? And she said, well, he passed away. I was like, you kidding? He was healthy when he got here. Yeah, she said, well, he stopped eating, and a couple days after you had left, he fell down and broke his hip, and of course he wasn't even eating when you were here, and he hadn't had a bite to eat, so he passed away yesterday evening. And I was that really affected me, so I was just like, man, you know what? He didn't die of no broken hip. He died of a broken heart. And I don't even want to work here no more. So I'm like taking off. I'm out. Threw my little scrub hat and everything on the ground, and just walking out. And the CNA, she was like, well, you can't leave without talking to the nurse. I was like, you know what? Whatever. And kept walking. And I got to the door, and I was waiting for her to buzz me out. And she was like, you need to talk to the nurse before you go. And for a split second, I felt like the fireman. And this rage came through me. And I looked back at her and I said, you better open up this door here. There's going to be some furniture moving up in here right now. She buzzed me on out. That story's called The Fireman. Look here. Naps, little dreads. That's all I thought. When I was little, I thought naps was real ugly. Then when I got older, I understood that naps were baby dreadlocks. Why are naps considered so ugly? The other day I was on my cell phone and it needed a little bit of juice. It was an Android. I went on over there to my Apple laptop and I plugged on into the SB. All of a sudden my laptop started gangbanging, talking about, look here, cuz, you can't be bringing that stuff around here. What, you want me to eject them for you, huh? This is Dr. ThunderSun's cooking tip of the day. What you do is you get your favorite can of fruit, right? You take the label off. You punch holes in the top of the can. You grab you a chicken, or you grab you a turkey, or a Cornish hen. But you can do it. Okay, so you smash the can on top. Actually, you take the chicken, you place the can up the chicken, and then you set it upright just like that, the long way in your oven. And as the chicken cooks, the nice fruit will come bubbling up, and it will saute and baste your chicken as it cooks. So you don't have to baste your turkey anymore. All you have to do is get that little can of your favorite fruit. It could be cranberries, and it will just spew over your whole bird, and your bird will be moist. No more dry chicken breast, because it's kind of hard to keep that part of the turkey moist when you around the Christmas holidays. Try it. This story right here is called Go to Sleep. When I was about a teenager, we moved from Chicago to rural Minnesota. We were the only black family in the whole school. On Martin Luther King Day, it became a holiday. It was a very troublesome event for me. Let me tell you what happened. When Martin Luther King's birthday came a holiday, I was awakened in the middle of the night by pickup trucks by the dozens, driving past our dirt road, kicking up dust, and they were yelling profanities and nigger this and get out. It woke me up. I was only like 11 years old, and we were in a trailer. And I remember just, kind of wiping my eyes, and like, this is real crazy for this type of, nobody comes out here. Not this far out in the wilderness. I was like, what is all this commotion? I didn't even know what they were yelling really, or the meanings behind it. I walk into the living room and my dad is sitting there. I noticed two of the rifles are out. I noticed he got the shotgun out. And he says, go to sleep. Now that story right there tells a lot. It tells you how old I am, and it tells you how soon that happened. Here's a few money tips by Mr. Frank Blackman.
This is one of those tips that the IRS really do not want you to know. And the real big misconception is that you have to have your taxes filed by April the 15th. The only reason why you would have to have your taxes filed by April the 15th is if you owe the government so that you could actually pay them so they do not charge interest. But if you do not owe the government, do not stress, because your taxes does not have to be filed by April the 15th. Matter of fact, what you really have is you really have 3 years from April the 15th until 3 years later, April the 15th, in order to file that particular year's tax return. That's the tax tip of the day. Here's a tip for you. Making right-hand turns. Each and every time that you leave your home to go run errands or anything like that anyway, what you would like to do is that you would like to be able to make as many right-hand turns as you possibly can, because it will save you time, it will save you money, you would have less wear and tear on your vehicle. Thank you.
Owner of an NBA team made the comment, he don't want no black people there. What does that really look like? Alright, so first of all, there ain't gonna be no basketball players. There ain't gonna be no basketball game because most of the players is black. The origin of man is from Africa. Her name is Lucy. So that means that we're all black. So he ain't gonna even be able to go to his own game. For that minty fresh breath sometimes don't happen on the first try. Don't be scared to take it through the car wash another time. I couldn't live back in the day and someone said, hey, colored people, because I would say, isn't white a color? If not, wouldn't you be clear? This here story is called Candy Cherries. In Chicago, I was a little kid and I came home with 25 candy cherries. I was sharing with my cousins. I was the man on the block. Okay? The next day, I came home with 25 more candy cherries. And I was sharing with my cousins, and I was the man once again. And my dad came out and he was like, boy, where you getting all this money from? You know what I told him? I said, I found it. He said, oh, okay. The next day, your boy come back with 25 candy cherries again. I start sharing with my cousins. I'm the man. I'm feeling real good about myself. My stepdad comes outside. He says, boy, where you get all this candy from? Where you get the money? I looked at him. I said, I found it. He said, oh, okay. He said, come with me. So I follows him into the house. And he's walking really slow. It's a big house, and he walks all the way through the living room, and he goes down, he goes to the basement, he goes down in the basement, and he walks me by his money jar. And he stops in a manner that I stop in front of the jar of change. He said, boy, where you get that money from? I said, I found it. Boy, you already know. I already knew I was busted when he stopped me in front of that little money jar. I knew I was in trouble. Boy, he must have towed me up. If it wasn't for my auntie coming to rescue me, I wouldn't be here today to tell this story. So what's the moral of the story? What did I learn from this? Don't share. Well, actually, this is the equation of the day. African Americans plus the right to import blood diamonds equals healthy community, which is a better citizens of the United States. The more high tech we get and the more high tech gadgets we build, the less jobs there are. Has your car ever been stolen? And for a split second, you think maybe somebody might be pimping my ride? If you cannot see it in nature, then it ain't natural. First day at school at a predominant university in America. I'm sitting there in the dormitory, waiting for the instructor to come out. He comes out and he starts to ask us students, does anybody need books? Because I know they ran out of books over at the bookstore. If you need a book, raise your hand. So about 8 of us raised our hand, and mine was up, and he pointed to mine. He said, can you afford it? Oh my God. What do I got? Bum written all over my forehead? Or am I a combat veteran? Desert Storm. Okay, I let that one slide. On a little bit later on in the class, he starts talking. It was a sociology class, and he starts talking, and he makes this comment that didn't sit right with me. He said, if somebody called my friend a nigger, I wouldn't do anything about it because it's their right. Well, this didn't sit right with me. I started looking around the class for African American. And in the way back, I could see a girl shrunk down in her seat, so small that she would disappear if she squatted down anymore. I couldn't take it. I got out of my seat, I walked out of the class, and I went to the director of ethnic studies, Dr. Samuels. I said, Dr. Samuels, what do I do? This instructor just said it's okay to say nigger in front of everybody in the class. I'm not paying for that. He says, what you do is you go to the newspaper. And then you go to the sociology department. And then in the sociology department, you go to the director. And when you get to the director, you tell him that you talked to me and I told you to go talk to him and tell your story. So I go to the newspaper and I talk to a reporter. This show right here will teach you how to interact with people, how to interact with your family, interact, and hopefully change yourself. This is the Dr. ThunderSun Show. A Live World production.